So tonight we want to present to you 5 themes that we will be looking at. The first is promoting the civic education in the nation. We'll have somebody who will do a presentation on that, and we'll have a beautiful song on civic education. Another is the technical, vocational education and training aspect. It is believed that strengthening that aspect will strengthen the middle manpower level in the nation. And so we'll do a song again, and the presentation will be done by the coalition. The third is maternal mortality. My principal is here, Dr. Shepard. She's one of those people who is responsible for training midwives. So in the process of giving birth, there are professionals who will take you through the whole process of giving birth, from prenatal to antenatal to postnatal care. And so we'll do a song on maternal mortality, and there's a beautiful song that we have written about maternal mortality. And we believe as a nation we must be able to gain access to justice. If I have an issue with someone, if I have an issue with whoever, I must be able to gain access to justice. And so the theme access to justice has been taken from the Ministry of Justice, and we have already composed a beautiful song on access to justice, and you will definitely listen to a presentation on promoting access to justice. Fifth is campaign against gender-based violence. We all as Sierra Leoneans, we know that this nation is going through a period where women are being marginalized, women are being raped, women are being abused. And we are all aware of the popular demonstration or campaign that we are all harness. It was an unfortunate incident that happened in this country, and we believe as patriotic Sierra Leoneans, we must be involved in the campaign against gender-based violence. And so we have a beautiful song and a presentation that is going to be done on gender-based violence. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 5 key themes that we will look at for this Sierra Leone Rise Again concert. And I implore you all to join us as we sing these songs. When you are not here as spectators, we want you guys to participate in singing with us and in dancing and in making sure that as we leave this auditorium, we would all be filled with one spirit of propelling this nation from the state where it is to a higher height in the name of Jesus. So thank you all for coming, and have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Let's put our hands together for Daniel Bangura. What an awesome night. I want to start by saying congratulations. Thank you. How's it? How's the journey?
Interestingly, the Sierra Leone Association elections over the years had not been pretty much tense as we realized this particular year. So before now, it was just an issue of colleagues spotting your talent and your competence and giving you the vote of confidence and mandate to carry on with the affairs of the association. But then, particularly because the number keeps increasing, so politics is, getting pretty tense by the second, and it was a very interesting one, really.
Okay, so congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
So we're here to talk about access to justice. I'm not sure I understand access to justice. What is it about? Can you help us?
Yes, thank you very much. I think firstly, we need to understand the role justice plays in society. I mean, what's the relevance of justice to us as individuals living within the society? I need to say that it is a very serious pillar, and in fact, it is one of the most fundamental pillars of peaceful coexistence in society. If we want to have a society where we can live peacefully, then the pillar of justice has to be treated very seriously. So the issue of access to justice is fundamentally talking about how do the citizens, how do people living within the state reach out and obtain justice? How do they get authorities who are entrusted with the responsibility of adjudicating on their affairs between citizens, between individuals living in society. How do these people reach these authorities so that they can get their matters adjudicated upon? We must not forget that because we're human, by nature there is bound to be conflict. By nature there is bound to be disagreement. By nature there is bound to be acrimony. And these disagreements, these acrimonies, if we do not have channels that would process them, so at the end of the day we have peaceful resolution of these disagreements, discrepancies, and acrimony, then believe me, we're bound to be in a perpetual state of war. But if we have the mechanisms, if we have the channels that would be able to process these disputes, then believe me, we would still, like people would say in Creole, teeth and tongue must jam, but believe me, at the end of the day, we'll be able to get resolution of those disagreements and the other issues that we referred to.
So look at this common saying. Yeah, we used to say, now you get lawyer, me I not get lawyer, so they avoid. Is that the same? Like there are people who are rich and so they can afford a lawyer, and the poor ones can't, and so
yes,
they get advantage.
Yes, it's an interesting issue because I think I like to make the point that primarily the business of legal representation in court is essentially like a private endeavor.
Okay.
It's like you opening a shop and somebody goes to buy something from the shop. That is how the lawyer, goes about his trade. He essentially opens a private business, so to speak. He is there for people to consult him, and he gives representation to them. But then, when you have a situation where a country begins to be serious with the issue of justice delivery, then you come to realize that the disparity between the rich and the poor is a serious issue as to how people get justice. Okay. Because like I have just said, at the end of the day, the lawyer wants somebody to consult him and pay him, right? So if across the board, you always have lawyers who are there to only be paid and they represent you, then there are people who will be left out. So what sensible democracies have been doing over time, and Sierra Leone has recently caught up, is to ensure that the government establishes an institution that will be able to cater for the judicial needs of the poor people, the indigent people. So there is now what they call the Legal Aid Board. Okay. Now the Legal Aid Board primarily endeavors to meet the legal needs of people who can't afford the services of lawyers, right? So, if you have a legal issue and you want to access the court, for example, and you know that by my financial standing, there is no way I'll be able to pay a lawyer, then the Legal Aid Board is saying, our doors are open, come in, we'll provide you a lawyer to make representation for you. So in as much as I would wish to underscore the point that essentially it was a situation of those who have almost having access to lawyers and better representation than those who don't have, it's changing now. You now have an institution that provides legal representation for indigent people. But then, before people think that without a lawyer you cannot have justice, I think I would need to make this verbal intervention. That even within the court system, you have the right to represent yourself. So, if you have a matter, and in fact there are some people, they are moneyed, they have the financial wherewithal, but they assure themselves that they can represent themselves better, and so don't go in for lawyers. So if you also have a situation like that, you can represent yourself in court. You can go to court and represent yourself. So it does not necessarily mean that if you don't have a lawyer, you cannot get justice. I will concede that because of the training that lawyers go through, they have a better standing to provide you the service that would, on a balance of probability, help you to reach at what is, really yours within the framework of the law. They have that. They can help you, right? But it does not necessarily mean that you cannot represent yourself in court. You can. If you have a matter and you think you have what it takes to go to court and make representation on your behalf, you can do that, right? So this is the situation at the moment. You have a situation where if you have money, yes, you can go to a private lawyer and seek the service. But if you don't have money, there is the legal aid board which can provide you lawyers. But again, I must say this. They have set criteria, and these criteria are what they use as benchmarks to scrutinize prospective clients, right? So if you apply to the legal aid board, they would want to know the means and the source of your income, right? When they know that, they would want to scale it. At the moment, to the best of my knowledge, by the way, just a quick disclaimer, I do not speak for the legal aid board. I'm merely speaking based on my knowledge of the operations, but I don't hold the brief for the legal aid board. At the moment, what I know is they are saying you must fall within the minimum wage bracket. So if you are above the minimum wage bracket, based on what they have said, you would not be qualified for their services, right? So if you're paid above 500,000 leones, I'm sorry, you would have to find some lawyer to represent you, based on what the legal aid board has come out with.
Okay, 500,000 lawyer in the salon.
Interesting question. Perhaps not as many as you would have loved. Not as many as you would have loved. But I must admit that few things. Firstly, these are admissions. Because the number keeps skyrocketing, the number of lawyers coming into the profession, simple demand and supply mechanisms will tell you that you have many lawyers now at your disposal. And because you have relatively many lawyers at your disposal, then it means that the pricing system might be coming down. Naturally, this is basic demand and supply, right? So I think you can afford a lawyer relatively reasonably now than you could have some time back. That is not to say lawyers are cheap now, but I think reasonably you can afford a lawyer now than you could have before.
We're talking about access to justice. Two things. One, some people can say, me file loss na court. For a long time, I don't get confused. It may happen. Two, there are people who say, me person on day na prison for this number of years, stay today in case no come up late. What can you say about these two things?
Very serious issues. And when we talk about access to justice, I have assured myself that we do not limit it to just the establishment of institutions. Because if you just have institutions and they're not delivering quality service, then you only have access to justice in name. In fact, some people have gone to the extent of saying some of the institutions that boast of delivering justice to the society, they are actually white elephants, right? So it also goes to the question of what is the quality of the services they're rendering. And that is where exactly these issues come up. Now, when we talk about situations where people say, well, I haven't, my file has gone missing in action. We've checked every nook and cranny. We've rummaged the entire registry and we couldn't find the file. It's a very serious issue. It is serious because when people go to court, it is because they believe that the court can give them what the books, the law books say is theirs. Because every lawyer looks at the book and goes to court to say, this is what the book says, so we've come to court so that you as a judge can give us what the book says. So if all of a sudden your file goes missing, it's a serious problem. I don't hold a brief for the judiciary, but they have always, yes, I don't hold a brief for the judiciary because I'm a private lawyer and people should also understand the distinction between the judiciary and the Bar Association. I'm a member of the Bar Association. That is different from the judiciary. The judiciary is the institution that delivers the justice, meaning the judges, the magistrates, the clerks, the registrars, and all of the others. The bar are members of the association who provide legal service. So you can walk up to a member of the bar association, consult that person, and the person will be able to give you legal service. So there is a distinction. In as much as both classes of entities, so to speak, are working towards justice delivery. They're two different entities completely. Right? Perhaps you could say two sides to a coin, but indeed two different sides. Right? So I don't want to agree for the judiciary, but the judiciary has over time been grappling with the challenge of understaffing, and also I think it's also an issue of remuneration. Right? I have this feeling that because a good number of the personnel are paid pittance, then that itself is an incentive for serious corruption. Because the mysterious disappearance of files, I make bold to say, could not be unconnected with corrupt practices. It could not be unconnected. There are times it could be administrative challenges, as for example, filing systems. How do we file papers? How do we file court documents? So these could be real administrative challenges. But that is not to say you dismiss the aspect of possible corrupt practices having a bearing on the mysterious disappearance of files. You raised another point, which had to do with people who are languishing at the Pademero maximum prisons, now known as the correctional center, and they don't get their indictment. Now, the problem also over time has been staffing. What happens is, when your matter goes to the magistrate court, most matters go to the magistrate court. They are called preliminary investigations, a good number of them. They are called preliminary investigations. What the magistrate is supposed to do is to investigate if there is sufficient evidence to commit the matter to the High Court. So the magistrate does that. He investigates to see if there is sufficient evidence to commit that matter to the High Court. Once the magistrate commits the matter to the High Court, what is supposed to happen is the Law Officers Department, which is the arm of government responsible for the prosecution of these matters at the High Court level, should be able to issue the person who has been committed to the High Court with an indictment. But because of understaffing, you would have like 3, 4, 5, perhaps 10 lawyers trying to file indictments of God knows over 3,000.
Wow.
Sometimes perhaps 5,000. It's a huge challenge. So it means those people who are at Pademba Road, a good number of them, will keep being at Pademba Road whilst they are pussyfooting with regards to the processing of these indictments. Snail pace processing of these indictments. So you have a good number of people languishing there. They cannot come to court because you can't come to court until your indictment is out. And a good number of them don't get bail at the magistrate court. So these are real issues, they're serious issues. But then in fairness to the present Attorney General and Minister of Justice, very good indices are crossing the skies. So for example, the recruitment of law officers has increased significantly. It's a very good sign. It means now they have relatively increased the manpower at the law officers department, and they should be able to process more indictments and should be able to reach to the people at Pademba.
Definitely, Sierra Leone will surely rise again. Thank you once more and congratulations. Put your hands together once more for him.
Please, my own advice to you, stay away from trouble. Just stay away. It's very complicated. We're now going to have a song performance on Access to Justice. You know, Daniel, he's been really, really fantastic, and so has his team. And we have to be really proud of him and really support him.
I pass by me area, I meet them under the talk. I saw by them, police come, raid the area, arrest me, lock me up in the cell. The next morning, judge me say I'm guilty, send me go, I'm not the jail. Mama cried, Papa talked, sister prayed. Bamba kayaka dongo, bamba kayaka dongo, but I got my hopes and dreams. All I know, all I believe, 'cause I know one day I'm gonna die. I like to know before I tell. All I know is one day I'm gonna die. All I know, all I believe, 'cause I know one day I'm gonna die. I like to tell long tale. I like to know the good and tell. All I know is one day I'm gonna die. With access to justice, with access to justice, with access to justice, I'm gonna die. With access to justice, with access to justice, access to justice, I'm gonna The next week, the Papa see them, they watch TV. They see them talk, say, access to justice day. If Friday, the judge said they are guilty, and